Hello, welcome back to the kitchen. Another weekend has passed and it's Formula 1 chat time. I've just pulled the backlight off, which is the worst thing about this because it just keeps falling off. There we go, it's back on now. Look at that. Who doesn't like a good bit of Lego? Wow. But let's talk about the real thing. So let's talk cars, rookies and Miami. So this last weekend just gone, although it's Friday so the weekend is here again, but anyway, moving swiftly on from that, it was the Miami Grand Prix, or otherwise known as yet another snooze fest on yet another poor circuit. Why do we keep going to these shitey circuits? I mean, it was just pretty dull, really. Now, I think a large part of that is down to the track. If you've watched one of my previous videos where I've talked about Formula 1 and tracks, you'll know that I have thought for a while now, sorry, my sock's falling off, that a lot of it is down to the tracks as opposed to the cars. Because, as I said again before, in 2020 we went down some proper old school circuits and there was some proper racing, even with the old cars, which apparently couldn't overtake. And yet there they were, flying past each other. But there we go. Go to a good track, overtaking is going to be there. Miami, it was just dull. It doesn't lend its, and the cars are that wide now as well. You know, these crappy street circuits. The only street circuit that should be on the calendar is Monaco, and that's because Monaco is special. You can't have Formula 1 without Monaco. It would be like getting rid of Silverstone. There's two tracks there that they just have to be there. But anyway, forgetting about that for a second, it was just yet another snooze fest, really. Basically, very little happening apart from the Red Bulls romping away, which, you know, I mean, they've certainly got their car right. But speaking of the cars, this new car format, I just don't think it's working. I think all the new regulations and all the new things that they've brought in just aren't working. Pretty much every team seems to be struggling with them, with the exception, obviously, of Red Bull. Yeah, Aston Martin, but even they are a little bit hit and miss at times, and they're the next best team, let's face it. And they don't look particularly nice either. You know, that big flat square bit like floor that they've got and those stupid things around the wheels, it's not working. It really isn't working. And while I'm on the subject, what was all that absolute load of rubbish where they were getting the drivers to run out to LL Cool J announcing, and it's just, this is not the NFL, okay? It's just not required. It's like, I don't know if you've noticed, but this season, every time they talk to a driver, before they talk, they'll go, now we're going to talk to George Russell. And then you get this really crappy fig that pops up with a picture of John. We know who he is. You just told us who you're going to speak to. It's going to be right there in like 10 seconds in front of us. We don't need a photo of him. It's, just maddening. It's just, they are literally intent on destroying Formula 1, I think, at this point. Because, I mean, they bought in a cost cap. That hasn't worked because the penalty but basically you can just break the cost cap, pay the fine, and you're done. So, you know, it's not the way they've done things just doesn't make sense. It's not working, and the cars are terrible. They don't look nice. It's, you know, Formula 1 is supposed to be about the pinnacle of motorsport and engineering and innovation, and that seems to have been lost with all these stupid new rules and regulations that they decided to bring in. Couple that with, you know, the tracks. They're going to these tracks because, you know, some of these countries are willing to pay obscene amounts of money to get it there. And unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily make them the right place to be. Especially when you consider some of the political and social things that happen in some of these countries. But that's for another time. But anyway, now we've ranted about cars, tracks, and basically how shit all the new regulations are. let's talk about the rookies. Now, I think this is probably the worst season of rookies that Formula One has had in a very, very long time. They don't seem to be able to drive. I mean, I really don't know what's going on. You know, I mean, even, you know, like when like Sonoda and that came through, they had a few rocky moments, but they were still quick. Whereas, and the trouble is, you don't really know whether it's the cars or not, because, I mean, let's face it, the cars are pretty shit. So it's difficult to gauge whether they're just really that bad or whether it's a combination of things. But so far, they've been pretty unimpressive. I mean, you've got De Vries, who can't seem to keep it out of a wall. You've got Logan Sargent, who has had a couple of little like moments where you're thinking, oh, okay, and then it all sort of dies off. And you've got Oscar, who, I mean, given all the stuff that surrounded him, signing where he's gone to and everything else, frankly, I'm not entirely sure I'd want him in my team anyway. But again, hasn't really shown anything. Yet he was being held as like the next new challenger. But then again, the car shit, so I suppose it's difficult to say. But it's just, I think there's some really serious problems in Formula One right now. And if they're not careful, they are just going to start losing the core fan base, and you'll get, well, if they do that, it's just going to be a disaster, basically. It's going back to, I mean, I know lots of people do like it, and if that's your bag, that's fine. But, I mean, during the whole refueling thing, I mean, I hated that. It was just, oh, we've got to start, no, fuck off, I don't want you to stop for fuel, it's crap. No, I'm not interested. I stopped watching Formula 1 at that point. I've only been watching it again for about the last, I don't know, well, since it stopped, I suppose. But yeah, I think they've just made a complete balls up of the rules, the tracks, the cars, everything, basically. And the thing is, it's like, everyone can remember the final season of the older cars when it looked like that basically one of the cars was basically a carbon copy of a Mercedes, and there was lots of hoo-ha about it, and I think they got done for brake ducts. I'm sure it was brake ducts or something to do with the brakes, where basically the part was pretty much identical, so they said that they had copied it. But this is the thing, you want to keep costs down for the smaller teams, let them buy brake parts off another team. Let them buy, you can buy the engines and the gearboxes, so why not allow them to buy some of the other mechanical bits, but then insist that all of the aero has to be self-designed. It has to because that's the bit that's going to make the difference, really, when you think about it. Because, I mean, if you were, let's say, to give everybody exactly the same engine, which is a stupid idea, by the way, everybody the same engine, because it basically fills out all. But anyway, we'll not talk about that now. And everybody the same brakes, same electronics and everything else. It's going to be the aero package and the driver that's going to make the difference. So that is why, they should be saying, right, you have to design your own aero package, but the brakes, the engine, the gearbox, you're allowed to buy from another team. And surely, I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong, but would that not help with the costs? And then you could perhaps raise the cost cap slightly, or even, I wouldn't say necessarily do away with it, because it was getting a bit silly, the amount of money they were spending. It's something that like the Premier League and world football needs, really. It needs to just chill out with the amount of money it's spending on players and wages and stuff, because it's just getting over the top. But that, again, is for another time. We're not talking about that now. So, yes. I don't know. These are my thoughts. This is how, it's just not going well, is it? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you think different. Let me know. Anyway, I've got a grease mark on my top. I don't know where that's from. Oh, I do. It's from the cream from my elbow, I think. I don't know how I've got it on there, though. Anyway, I digress. Do you have any different opinions? More importantly, do you like my Lego McLaren? Look at that. Isn't that sexy? Well, ish, because I've just said I actually don't like the designs of the cars, but Lego kind of made it look good. I think the Lego version looks better than the real thing. But there we go. Anyway, you know what to do. I'll catch you next time. Do you share my views? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Catch you later.
Jet plane headed up to the sky, spread wings and the clouds getting